welcome to Traditional Painting the Digital Way. This is where I use digital painting apps to teach traditional painting techniques. This is part 2 of my Rainbow Fall series, and in this video we're going to go ahead and work more on the water and the rocks and the trees. If you want to follow along with traditional materials, check out part 1 in this series where I have a list of all the paint, canvases, and brushes that I use. The app that we're going to be using is Infinite Painter for Android. And I want to go ahead and sort of add all the underbrush that grows on the side of the waterfall. And I'm using my photo references from pixabay.com, where you can get royalty-free photo references. And I just want to kind of get an idea of what the rocks and the underbrush are going to look like. And I use the Pollock brush for the underbrush in Infinite Painter, and you can use your bristle brush if you're following along traditionally, and just get kind of a grayish green color. And you can use dioxazine purple with hooker's green and a lot of white, and you can throw in some phthalo yellow green. We just kind of want to get different patches of dark and light for this brush. And keep in mind that it's going to be, a lot of it will be covered up by the mist. But you never know exactly what all is going to be covered up. So you just go ahead and you build your world like it really is. And you build in the background. And then when it comes time to put the mist in, it will just cover up things like it does in the real world. But you never know what will be showing through the mist and what won't be. So it's kind of a little adventure even as you build your own world. And here I'm just adding some dead trees in the background with a little bit of a purple color. And you can just put your brush on really small. And then I wanted to add some more dark to the pine trees. And I'm just making them the same way I did before. Just make a straight line and then do zigzags down it with your, for the branches, and you can use a little bit of a darker green color here. And if you're following along traditionally, your number 3 round brush will work, your number 6 flat brush. Bob Ross actually used a fan brush to make his pine trees with, and that works well too. And then here I just want to go ahead and add a little bit some more smudges of maybe moss on the rocks here on the side of the waterfall. And I'm using a little bit of the old gouache brush and a little bit of some green color here. I just kind of want to give the indication of some moss growing on the rocks next to the waterfall. But again, a lot of this is just going to be covered up by the mist. And then I made a little bit of some twigs in the underbrush there, just to show tree branches. And then I wanted to go ahead and add the second layer to the rocks. So I'm taking my rock color, which is a mixture of dioxazine purple, ultramarine blue, and burnt sienna with some white thrown in it, if you're following along with your acrylics. And it's just kind of a lighter purplish gray color. And I want to go ahead and just kind of cover up all the white on the canvas here and add the rocks throughout some of the brush. And I'm using the flat oil brush will work, the Leo brush will work. I'm using the Velocity spatter to add some darker spots in the underbrush next to the rocks. And just kind of cover up some of the rocks, make it look like the underbrush is growing over the rocks and around them. And I'm adding some darker green there, and you can use your bristle brush if you're following along traditionally for this. You just want kind of a jagged look there. You don't want a real smooth look. And then I'm adding a little bit of some lighter green there, but not the yellowish green, just kind of a medium grayish green. Again, you would use your hooker's green with dioxazine purple and some white. Just keep patches of darks and lights in your underbrush, and that will give you interest and make it look like there's all kinds of shadows and different kinds of plants and things growing next to the waterfall. And then I wanted to darken the water a little bit more and cover up all the white on my canvas, so I'm using an ultramarine blue type color with some purple thrown in it. If you're following along with your acrylics, you'd use dioxazine purple. And I just want to cover up all the canvas here and get the painting totally underpainted, which is kind of the first layer of paint. And then I want to go ahead and use the stucco brush to add another highlight to the rocks. And this time it's going to be the highlight that sort of shapes what the rocks look like. And I'm just playing around with the jitter and the angle on this brush, trying to get a sort of a rough look, one that will give me a dry brush look, which dry brush just means you don't have a lot of water with your paint, and when you put it on your rocks, don't kill all the dark underneath it. And usually what I do is smudge it with my finger, and you can do that with a paper towel if you don't want to get paint on your fingers, or even another brush. And here that's what I'm doing, is just kind of adding the third highlight. It's not the final highlight yet for these rocks, but I'm shaping them. And you want your rocks to not all look the same. You want them to kind of look different. I mean, they're kind of going to be rounded, but you want them bigger, some smaller, some with different angles. You don't want them to all look like a bunch of little turtles all in a row or anything like that. You want them to look more angular and try to make each rock kind of individual-like. And then I'm smudging it in Infinite Painter with the Schoolhouse chalk brush. I found that this gives a nice rough texture, which is what you want for your rocks. You want pockets of dark and light on top of your rocks. You don't want to kill all the dark underpainting that's under your rocks. You want some of that to show through. And that just gives you your three-dimensional form of your rocks when you let the darker paint show through the lighter paint. And that's what I'm doing here, just kind of shaping them, making sure that there's rocks in the underbrush that are peeping out of all the foliage that's there, and also the water too. You're going to have rocks sticking out of the water and rocks on the side. And look at your photo references to kind of see the shapes of what these waterfall rocks are like. And make sure that there's cracks, look like there's cracks in the rocks, and just a really rough surface on the rocks there. And you can go back if you want to and add a little bit of the dark back into the rocks. If you think that you've lost it with your highlight, just go ahead and go back in there and add more dark to your rocks and just keep working on them. So this is the end of part 2 of my Rainbow Fall series, and in part 3 we're going to go ahead and do the final touches on the waterfall and add the mist and the rainbow. So if you want to see how to do that, hit the subscribe button. And thanks everybody for watching. Thank you so much for your support. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below, and I will catch you later.